measure 4. Did you take it up a perfect fourth too? At the change of keys?
I didn't quite get that far. I
Okay.
never gave up. Honestly.
Kevin, did you?
What?
What did you do with this key change?
I just took the key change.
Okay.
He's not asking me.
Did you just do the key change and keep everything in its?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you do the same?
So I added
Now see.
on this crescendo, that's where I added the woodwinds.
Oh, good.
And then I had the horns play the chord.
Okay. Now my concern is, Hannah, I think you did the right thing by taking it up.
Cool.
But we have a problem when we get down here, because if you think this is a fourth higher, it does a great, it gives this group of people, all of your people, everyone, in all of your versions, it helps a fourth higher because everybody is in their stronger playing range, okay? So if we take, so instead of having this trumpet player play here and here, is how Kevin wrote it, some of you wrote it that way, all of a sudden we're up here. So we're up here in a much stronger in-your-face range. And so, and the way Eric wrote it, he put, so this is an FAC chord, so his horns would have been maybe here, something like this. So we have the trumpets here. And what that does, it gives us an opportunity then to take our trombone parts and get our trombones playing in this range, which is a much stronger range for them than even getting when they get down into this range. It's not quite as strong. And so the trombones are really, really powerful right here. And so for the brass section to raise it up a fourth was really helpful. Now you get to the end of this thing and you're and then we go to 3 flats. So here we go to 3 flats, and the next one we go up a perfect fourth, and it'll work because it's an E flat. So now all of a sudden the trumpets are going to be up here, and so we can A flat. What's that? Fifth up. There we go. So you took that up a fourth too. So that's no longer E flat, but now this is A flat. Is that what you did?
I didn't really get that far.
Okay, you didn't get that far. So would you?
I don't know.
Say no.
No.
And the reason why, now this works beautifully, because again, the trumpets are nice up here in all the brass, and I probably would have, and none of you did it, and that's fine, I probably would have added this next octave of human beings up here.
In the trumpet section?
Not in the trumpet section, but in the woodwinds.
Oh, okay.
Or the strings. And I would have put them up an octave, just for power reasons.
Okay.
But now when you get here to this double bar, and you have this key change, you don't really need to change. He goes from a G up to a B flat. Here we have a G, and the first chord is a C chord. So it's really a 1 chord in second inversion. So when you go up then to the B flat, he's going to the second inversion again of an E flat chord, because we're in the key of E flat. Now, if you're starting F, so you would start at, did you start in F? No, you would have started in D. What was your first?
My first key was F.
Was first key of F. So she goes up a fourth. All of a sudden, you take this up a fourth, you begin to get too high if you're not
Right.
careful. Now the problem is the sopranos, the ladies are going to come in, they're singing mezzo-soprano. So instead of singing, all creatures of our God and King, lift up your voice and let us sing, Alleluia, Alleluia, da, da, da. They're up a fourth. So now it's always,
But then you can't do it. Which that is still in the range, but then you can't do this nice, like, huge fanfare where they just
That's
the
right.
octave
And all
higher
of a sudden,
above.
and you really can't do mezzo forte anymore.
Right.
So now,
See, what I did there is I dropped out the brass completely, except for the chords. Like I had, I mean, trombones, tubas, and the horns play the chords at piano, and had the woodwinds at mezzo forte, and then the green brought in the strings. So it was more about the strings than anything else. But everything else
That's
was
the
just,
usual.
okay, so
No,
what
it's-
Eric is suggesting in measure 7 and 8, he's leaving the brass out now and using strings and woodwinds. I think it's okay.
and then for the Alleluia, I brought everyone back in.
That's what I did too.
For Alleluia or for all creatures of?
Alleluia, Alleluia.
So the brass don't come in until the very end.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
He has the brass leaving at measure 9 and not coming back in until on the Alleluias. He has the brass coming in on the Alleluia,
The brass
Alleluia.
is out for.
They're still playing chords.
Oh, okay.
Like they're still laying down the.
It makes sense to have them out
Yeah.
because
Because the
the
voices. come in.
voices are in that same range,
Yeah.
and so you need something that's a little
I
like
cut the brass
warmer.
completely out for that part. I
So
didn't
did
have them
I. I
playing
don't
chords.
have.
You don't
them.
have them playing in here at all.
No.
No, not until the Alleluia.
And that's really what he did. But you had them playing some chords in here.
Yeah, I just took the basic chords and I think I took the bass line and just simplified it. So they're just half notes instead of. Quarter notes. You want that one? The original? But I had them playing under everybody else.
Where does the all creatures of our God and King? Here it is. Okay, he has all creatures of our God and King. He has the flutes and oboe up here. Sorta. Has the clarinets, which are playing chords. Now so he has them playing right in this range. And the singers are all singing, all creatures of but these instruments aren't going to be strong enough to cover them up. So that'll work. But the brass would have. So you can't put the brass in there because you don't need them. Now he has the brass doing some chords down here, which works fine.
That's nice.
And of course it has a tuba line. It looks like it's that's the double bass. That works fine. Bassoon and cello are doubling, which makes sense. And he has the horns going. So what horns are here and here, and so they're saying all creatures of our God and King. So they're just doing a root. Bless you, my child. I'm doing my Pope imitation today. So that works fine.
Are the French horn, they're written an octave below? Is
Okay, now
or a fifth below?
They're
They're
They
right at
sound
the
a
fifth.
fifth below.
they sound fifth below. Yes, we knew he'd get there, didn't we?
That's what I meant.
Okay.
But their range is really down in the bass clef, right?
Right.
So
They're reading up in here. In fact, they read up here, even up to this A. So in treble clef, but they're sounding. So if you write a French horn part there, they're really sounding down here in bass clef. So they're filling in
okay.
for sound. They're filling in this tenor line is the notes they're singing, or the first trombone line. Unless they're doing a melody line. So this is even for Jeffrey, this starting to get pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're reading A, well they're really sounding this D. Okay, so they could do a melody line, goes up like this and down like that, but it was really just like sopranos or any instrument except Elizabeth. You don't want to just start and try to play a high note that high right off the bat, because it's tough to do that. So that's, and you've heard the horn players miss notes when they get up in there, and the reason is because the overtones are a half step or a scale, so you can play all these notes with one face, with one finger. So it's all done here, and so you have to be able to hear where you're going. The one thing that horns really love to do, and I love to have them do it, is this kind of a pattern.
Oh, yeah.
This that kind of a glissando. That's it. You got it. That's it. But horn players, when they do it, they don't have to do anything with the valves. They can do everything with their face.
Yep.
And it's just this wonderful, powerful sound. Just like now. Eric used some string players during this the choir singing. Did the string parts mimic the piano part here? Okay. So what did you do when the singer started singing? Or in
I kind of just looked at it as an instrumental piece, and like, yeah, I kept the brass in doing melody lines and everything.
okay. So did you? So what did you have the strings do at measure 9?
Measure 9. Yeah, I just kind of split them up, top to bottom, violin 1, violin 2, viola, and then cello and double bass.
And are you having him play in this range too? Or are you having them up here? The strings.
Which ones?
Like at measure 9?
Yeah, the 2 violins are up there,
They're up here in this range.
and then the viola is down
Okay,
on the G, and the cello is.
so we're getting a sound an octave higher than what's written.
What? No. I have them here.
Okay, you got him there. Okay. He's got him here. Wherever that is. So he has the violin here. Violin 1, you have violin 2 there also?
Yeah, because there's a whole note. The violin 2s take the whole note.
Okay.
And then I had the cello, or the violas. And I had the-
I stole somebody's here.
Oh, that's mine.
Oh, this is so nice and clean. Thank you for making it clean.
Mine's clean, I think. We have different versions of clean.
I'm not even gonna look at the clarinet parts because I know they're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she has the trumpets playing this. Something like that.
And I have the flutes trilling there.
She was pretty excited about the fluties trilling there.
Me too. Me too.
There's a term that a few orchestrators will use. It's called false resonance.
As opposed to truth.
It's a technique that works really, really well when you're trying to highlight a particular instrument. It works in choirs really well. If you want the tenor line to come out, just drop the altos down and have the tenors go above them. And it puts the voices...
Cross voicing. What's
What?
crossing?
Cross voices, that's what it is. And what happens is, it makes the tenor voice, or the voice that goes out of normal resonance, and our normal voice resonance, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And when you have your voice checked, you're a soprano or a mezzo, and that's the mezzos because it's not just that your range is there, it's the resonance and the sound is the richest in that range. You have the alto, and then you have the real altos, and I don't know if we even have a real alto right now. Maybe
We have some altos that sing tenor.
That, what's her, I can't remember her name.
Rebecca Bocourt?
Sydney, Rebecca
Sydney.
Bocourt, Brooke Hebert, Emily Copeland.
Emily Copeland, okay. So I'm not sure any of those are real altos. I think they can just sing low. Are they real altos? Okay. Because there's an alto, then there's a real alto. And the real altos have that husky sound to their voices. Now, in instrumental writing, it's really important that, for instance, with the trumpet section and the trombone section, you don't want to write the third trombone above the second trombone.
Right.
Because it makes this note sound louder. That instrument becomes immediately louder just because it's in the wrong resonance. And that's not resonance like resonance in, it's resonant, R-E-S-O-N, that word. And so make sure you do the trombones like this. And remember, when you're getting in this bass clef, you need to make sure when you get down in the lower part of that you don't have the overtones closer together than they are in real life. And so we have a B flat, and a minute, Eric had he put the fifth in, which was legal, and then the next overtone. So you don't want to put a third down in here, because it junks up the overtone series. And one of the things it does, it makes this really, really muddy. And it's really hard for a sound tech to get a nice clean sound when everything down here is mud.
And they get blamed.
And it's many times it's been written out of, and now Elizabeth, what you did with the bones, she wrote, and now we're in bass clef, we have a D, and we have an F, and she has this is first bone.
Yeah, I probably wrote it wrong.
The devil made you do this. And she has a third bone there. Okay? So she's written this out of resonance. What this is going to do, this is going to make the third trombone the loudest. Now, if she did that on purpose, that's kind of interesting. But I think you just needed the note. So it would have been better for you to write first, second, third, to write it that way. And that way everything is in the correct resonance. Now,
So with this, we're talking about like the third trombone actually being a different, like a bass trombone.
correct.
Okay.
Now the problem with this is, it's also too low to have these notes, because the overtone series at this range need to be, because this sound down there is really ugly. And so if you can separate those dissonances, and remember in theory class, you could use a ninth, but you couldn't use the ninth at the second level. You had to take it up an octave. And the seventh works up better up here than when it's right next door to it. So this is not a pretty sound, but this is a nice sound. That really sounds just dissonant. And this sounds like something is going somewhere. So if you, and the ninth, of course, it just lands really nicely. And so the resonance thing. So Elizabeth, you got to. It's a good idea, but it's too low. Now, if we had taken, because I don't know what you have the tubas doing. Well, you don't have the tubas do one thing. I probably would have done this. I would have taken this F, which is the root of your chord, and put it on the thirds, and then taken that D and that E. Oh man, I don't know what it does for the rest of it though. It would be better if we written that up here, and the next thing better would have been put down here. But she also has horn players playing up in here, and you change one thing, and then you have to change everything. And so I can't just change one thing. But just looking at it quickly, Elizabeth, I think the bones are sort of screwed up right there. Trumpets look great. She does standard, the horns. And she wrote the horns for, oh, thank you, Elizabeth. So this is high. First part had high. The second part had the next one down. I don't know how to write that. I'll write it low. And then the third was high. And the fourth, I know Dr. Lewis is gonna be hammering on the door here in a second. So she had this like an A, and then the A, and then this would be the E underneath the A, and then this is the C underneath that. I wrote one thing and said one thing and wrote another. I know, forgive me, but the brain damage.
Double dip.
I wish I could say it was because I'm on medication, but I'm not. So she had high, low, high, low, and that's exactly how the, come here, that's exactly how it's supposed to be written. I might have changed keys where it went up a third from here. I might have not done that. I might have started on F and gone up to A flat and not gone up the fourth. Give me your papers. Make sure you've read and have deciphered and the chapter on transposing from piano music. Make sure you got that. We'll take a little quiz on that chapter next time. I want you to look at this, write some notes to yourself. We're going to write this for brass ensemble, and we'll write it in class next time, and we'll listen to Ravel and see how he did it. So, chapter 12, and just do some sketching on this spec thing. And I stole this from Seven, that's Kevin's.
Yeah, guys, let's get
Eric, thank you. This is so much nicer than your manuscript. Come in.
I should have just done that. This took way too long.
There you go.
Yours manuscript's pretty clean.
I wasn't about that saved in a lot of time.
Yeah. It really saved me a lot of time at the church. Because I could set up, crank it out on the machine, and I could listen to it. And then I go back in when it's time to print it. Then I could print it, just go in and push the button and it would transpose it for me. And then I read it.